Yeah, this is interesting. I said fighting relegation, but will stay up. Alan fighting relegation, but will have enough to stay up. And Micah, mid-table. So we'll start with you, Micah. This might be the first admission of a possible error. Hello and welcome to The Rest is Football with Alan Shearer, Micah Richards and me, Gary Lineker. The big news is Big Meeks is finally back from his big Mexican adventure. How was it, Micah? Are you glad to be back?
Oh my God, I'm absolutely goosed.
A bit of jet lag.
Mexico City, I come back, go to Mexico City, Guadalajara, La Paz and Cabo as some people pronounce it. But yeah, it was a great time. But I've had no sleep. I got back about 2 hours ago. I left Mexico around 5 o'clock yesterday, and I've just got home 2 hours ago.
No,
probably 500,000 good reasons why you did it then, was there?
And the rest.
Surely they threw in a sombrero. A few tequilas. I can imagine. Let's explain what we're going to do this week. With the latest international break coming to a close and everyone gearing up for the hectic festive period of football that's coming up, we thought it would be a good time to take stock and reflect on the season so far. You'll hopefully remember that when we first launched this new show, we did an episode where we went through all 20 Premier League clubs and gave our predictions for the season and where each club would possibly finish. So what we're going to do today is look back at all those predictions, club by club, and reflect on how those teams have been getting on and see if anyone wants to drastically change any of their forecasts. A bit of half-term report, if you will, or maybe we should call it a third term, because it's about way through. We'll also look at all the challenges that each club faces and any surprises we might see between now and the end of the season. As we did before, we'll go through all of the clubs in alphabetical order, which means we'll be kicking off with AFC Bournemouth. Now, with each club, I'm going to read out what we said, basically. So, with Bournemouth, I said they will avoid relegation and that the new manager, with his style of rock and roll football, would do pretty well. Alan said definitely in a relegation battle, and Micah said relegated. So, Micah, you can start as you were the most pessimistic.
Yes, I'm going to stick to my guns. I think Bournemouth rely a lot on Solanke and his goals. We did a couple of analysis pieces on them earlier on in the season when the new manager was announced and what he could bring to the team. And for the first couple of games, I saw that and I've seen a big improvement, or I've seen a difference. I won't say improvement. We've seen a style of play that was trying to press high and then they would defend deep, but knowing a little bit more organised defensively and then transition going forward. But I still don't know if they will have enough to stay up. So I'm going to stick to my guns and say Bournemouth will go relegated.
Alan, you said a relegation fight, which I suppose at the moment you would say they are still in that, even though they've won a couple of games recently and start to show a little bit of form.
Yeah, there's been little shoots of improvement, haven't there? But I'm not in any way changing my opinion on that. They will be in a relegation battle. But they were really poor at times, taking the last couple of games, beat Newcastle really convincingly with the injury-depleted side against Newcastle. But they did really well in that game. But I still sticking to what I said and said that they'll be they'll probably get out of it, but they will be in a battle all season.
Yeah, I said they'll avoid relegation. I'm still mildly confident of that. I think Alan's probably the safest saying they'll be in a relegation battle because that covers all aspects. But I think the manager's style of play is starting to fit in. So I'm gonna stick with the fact that I think they will stay up. Let's move on to Arsenal. Now, I said they would win the league. I said they'd be champions, mainly because you two went for Manchester City and someone had to be a bit different.
He's getting excuses in early doors, isn't he?
Not like him to be stubborn, is it, Micah?
Hey, I've got to be stubborn. Alan, you said they'd be challenging. They will push City but not win it. Micah, you said they will challenge and be in the top two, but obviously you went with Manchester City. So I will say they're still up there. They're still right in it. I'm gonna stick with it. Not with a great deal of confidence, but I never had that in the first place. But I do think they've got the makings of something. I think they'll be fairly close to it. So I'm going to stay with my initial prediction of the fact that they will win the league. Alan? Alan,
Yeah,
remember
no,
that?
I'm happy with what I said. I said they'll finish second. They'll just fall short of City, and I still believe that's what will happen.
What's missing? What's missing to make them a title winners?
I still think a
goal scorer,
top class centre forward.
Yeah, Micah.
I just think Arteta, and I love Arteta. I think he's a top manager. I've fully bought into what he's trying to do, but the whole Ramsdale-Raya situation...
Do you think that's made a difference?
I just believe it's caused uncertainty. And when you're going for the league, you don't really want that. So, in terms of Raya's performances, he's actually done all right, but he's made a few bad mistakes, and now that's all everyone's talking about. So I think it's an unwanted distraction, and I think the other teams fighting for the title have more of a smoother sort of off-field things going on. So I'm going to say still top two, top three. I don't think they'll win the league.
Okay. Next up, Aston Villa. I said Europe. Alan said top six, challenging to go better than they did last year. Emery made clever signings, blah, blah, blah. You picked out Diaby. Good shout, Alan. Micah, you said fighting for Europe, but we'll finish 7th or 8th. I think you picked Torres as a possible signing of the season. I'm going to stick with Europe. I think they've been really good this season. I love watching them play. They play really aggressive attacking football, high press, very, it's a little bit gung-ho at times with the high line, but I kind of admire that. We've seen it with a lot of teams this season. And they've got goals in them. And I think when you've got goals in you, that makes a real difference. So I'm going to definitely stick with Europe. I don't think they'll quite make the top four, but certainly either the Europa League or the Conference.
But can I just say before you go, Alan, when we say Europe, what
Alan's
we say...
not going anywhere yet. We're only on A for Aston Villa.
This fifth place as well could potentially
that's a
be
good point.
Champions League as well. So when we say Europe, are we saying Europa League, Europa Conference, or are we saying fifth spot for the Champions League?
I forgot about that.
I said pushing for the Champions League. That's what I said. But I said probably just missing out and finishing 6th. I mean, I don't want to sound repetitive, but I'm happy with my decision again.
You're just always
anyone would think I knew what I was talking about.
Well, you had a lead pundit at the BBC.
For now, Micah, for now. So, I mean, they have been terrific, haven't they, so far this season?
They've been brilliant. What a job he's done, by the way, the manager. I think he's just been fantastic. The signings, especially, remember the first game of the season, Newcastle, when they got battered off Newcastle? They lost Mings, serious injury, and you thought, what's going on here? But they've recovered so well, and not only that, they've managed to do it whilst playing in Europe and not have a lot of changes to their team. And he's sort of they've gone along in the right way, and he's kept a lot of them fit, and it looks a real happy camp.
He's a master of European competition. He's proved that, obviously, in his previous jobs. And they've scored the second most amount of goals after Manchester City, which is impressive, Micah.
Yeah, very impressive. But I would agree with Alan in terms of injuries. It's not only Mings. They had Jacob Ramsey, who was so good for them last season, as well. They had Buendia, who looked like he was their most sort of attacking threat. And they lost Diego Carlos, another centre-back as well. So to have them injuries and still score the goals, Ollie Watkins, I mean, we've talked about him before, and I won't say critical, but I was asking you guys, what could he do more? But he's in the form of his life, and
he's improving.
He is. He really is improvement, and it's great to see. So, yes, I'm going to say Europe.
Okay, I think we all agree with that. Moving on to Brentford now. I think we all deserve a little bit of credit here because I've gone mid-table. Alan said 9th. Micah said mid-table. They won't do any better than that. And at the moment, they're 11th in the league. And you have to say that they're punching above their weight on them. As you know, it's a relatively speaking, it's a small club. Some of the results they get, particularly against the top 6, are remarkable.
And they've done it all without Ivan Toney.
Yep.
So full of admiration for who and what they are, what they've achieved, what they do every week, how they play, the atmosphere at that stadium, superb. I just think that they've been brilliant, and I'm happy with the prediction, and I think they'll finish in the top half.
Can we just talk about the manager for a moment?
Yeah. I really like him. He's calm, but he's likeable.
He's unbelievable. It's just amazing. And I said on radio, BBC Radio, about 18 months ago, that Brentford, they're just boring or average. And honestly, I've ate my words. They just have a system. They know what they're doing. Like Alan said, without Tony, Wissa and Mbermo have been outstanding. And yes.
Does Tony get straight back in when he gets fit and playing again, do you think?
Do you not think they're trying to get rid?
I don't know. Do you think or they'll take the money?
Well, I think with all the reports going around, I just think there's no smoke without fire. I don't know whether they think they can cash in on him. I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm guessing. Maybe I'm wrong.
They're touting him about, aren't they? They're just putting a couple of feelers out there to see how much they could get for him.
Who do you think might take him?
The Arsenal.
You do think that? Do you think he's fit for the way they play?
And Chelsea. I just believe Arsenal, I think with Arteta, he can be fluid in the way they play. So, yes, I do feel he fits into that style. They've got Trossard who can play sort of this false 9. They have Tony who could play a bit further forward. Jesus who can play up front and on the left and the right. So it just gives them another option. So, yes, for me.
Okay, well done Brentford so far, and well done Brighton too. I think I said comfortably mid-table. You both said mid-table. I say what, we're quite good at this, aren't we? I didn't realise we were that accurate. They're currently 8th in the league. They did have a terrific start, and they've stalled a little bit, and I wonder, unlike Villa, they might be paying the price, a bit of a toll for playing in Europe, and which sometimes you kind of suffer for your own success, don't you?
They had a couple of good results, though, haven't they, in the last couple of games, which have pulled them back into the European in the European games. So they'll be fine. They'll play some really good football. I think they'll be happy with the way it's gone. Had some good results, not so good, but I think that will be their season.
Yeah, I think they've missed Estepinian a little bit, and they've 2 losses and 4 draws in the last 6 games, Micah.
Yeah, Estepinian, he's my first pick on fantasy football. Marauding left back or wing back, whatever you want to call him. They've definitely missed him. But again, it's just the manager. De Zerbi, I'm going to go a big shout here. I'm going to say the next Man City manager.
Well, he's heard something, Gaz. He's heard something.
Oh, the Manchester City ambassador has spoken.
This is just my opinion. No. I have not heard anything.
Is this your...
He's on the inside, he knows something.
It's his opinion. Sorry, that's awful.
I like that, guys. It was very good. It was very good.
So mid-table, we all think they'll stay there. Right, on to Burnley. Well, yeah, this is interesting. I said fighting relegation, but will stay up. Alan fighting relegation, but will have enough to stay up. And Micah, mid-table. So we'll start with you, Micah. This might be the first admission of a possible error.
Like you said. Well, there's only 12 games gone.
Early days.
I don't know if it was heart and head, playing with company, seeing how well he did in the championship. I expected a lot more, if I'm being totally honest. They've disappointed me. Al in the group every single week, Burnley trying to play out from the back again and conceding. But that's their way. I don't think Burnley now can change. I don't, because I think all the other teams are better at doing what they do. If they try to do what someone else does, there won't be the same Burnley. Yes, they're naive, Alan, I agree with you. But I'm going to say they're going to stay up.
Oh,
I remember you said it. You heard it here first.
I have seen nothing at all to tell me that Burnley will stay up. I've been really surprised how poor they've been, actually, because I thought they would have come in and played the way that he wants. We know he wants to play out from the back, but they're trying that, but they are just getting battered week after week in terms of trying to do it, and it just doesn't seem as if they're learning their lesson.
Yeah.
And I would be amazed if they were to stay up now in the position they're in and what I've seen.
They are the one team that are below Everton, who've just been docked 10 points, which speaks for itself. 1 win, 1 draw, 10 losses. They've got it all to do. I don't know whether it's my, I'd really like Vincent Kompany a lot and admire him.
We all do, Gary.
And I want them to do well because I like the way they try and play their football, but it's not working at present. So I've got my doubts. I think it would take a hell of an effort now for them.
Me too, yeah.
For them to stay up. So I think we concur on that one. Right, Chelsea, interesting one. I said that they'll be higher than 12th that they were last season.
Oh my word!
Hang on, there's more. I said European football, but not top 4. Quite happy with that. Thank you very much. Alan, they will challenge for Europe, but not top 4. Very similar. Micah, they will do a lot better, but will miss out on the top 4 and make European football. So we all said the same thing. And at the moment, I think there's. I'm not going to change. Are you?
No, I won't. I'm not. I won't change. I think they're getting better. They've certainly improved in the last month or so. I do trust in Pochettino. I think he's a really good manager. We said if he was given time, which he was going to have to be given because it wasn't going to happen automatically.
They've still got a lot to do. They're 10th in the league at the moment, but they've shown signs of improvement in recent weeks. Cole Palmer, one of the signings of the season, possibly. Micah?
Do you remember when we, I think it was a game we did last season and he came on and we was all saying, what's he like? What sort of player is he? He's number 10. Is he playing the wing? Come through the academy. And I'm not surprised what he's doing. I think his talent, I wouldn't say as much as Foden. I wouldn't say his ability could take him as far as Foden.
It's probably not quite as quick.
Yes,
just
but
that
he's
difference.
Very skillful, and he's just the way he glides with the ball, and he's just got a different sort of mentality. You go to a club, you've been at Man City all your life. He's taking penalties off Raheem Sterling.
Yeah,
he's scoring penalties in last minute against your old club. It takes great courage, and I just think he's got the full package.
Yeah. I think possibly as well the victory at Tottenham and then the 4-4 draw against Manchester City, I think that will give them a lot of confidence. They've still got obviously a lot to do to get to Europe. I think it's unlikely, very unlikely, they'll make the top four. But I think under Pochettino, Alan, there's signs of improvement now.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think they'll make top six, but I think they'll challenge for seventh or eighth, something like that, which may be enough to get in the Conference League or whatever it is. So, I think they're improving. They'll get better, but I don't expect them to be in the top six.
Okay, on to Crystal Palace. I said mid-table. Alan said mid-table, but they won't battle relegation. And Micah said they will struggle but will avoid relegation. Not much difference in that. They're 13th in the league at the moment, and I think we're all fairly confident of sticking with our guns, aren't we?
Yeah, I think we are.
Roy Hodgson knows what he's doing, doesn't he?
Yeah.
But we have to give him great credit again. Another manager, and my mate Vieira. I thought it was a little bit too soon for him to get the sack. I thought, given more time, he really could have changed the fate, especially with the fixtures around that time. He would have got some points on the board, but you can't take anything away from Hodgson and how he's galvanised this squad, and he just does what he does, and fair play to him.
He works out the shape particularly, doesn't he, Alan? I think only 5 teams have conceded fewer goals, and they are Manchester City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Spurs and Newcastle.
Well, that does take a genius to work out that if you're going to survive in this league, you cannot concede a lot of goals like Burnley do, like Luton do, like Sheffield United do, like Bournemouth do. And when we had Steve on a couple of weeks ago, I mean, I was really impressed with him, and he's running a really tight ship. He knows what he's doing. The football club's very good, and which is the reason they went back to Roy. And I wouldn't change anything with Palace. They'll be fine. They'll be safe from relegation. I don't think they'll have any problems.
I think what's impressive is how they've coped without the man that was their talisman for so long, Wilfred Zaha.
It's always the way, though, and that's what I said a little bit with Kane leaving Spurs. Players want to take responsibility, and Zaha was an amazing player, but I felt like the rest of the team just expected too much from him at times, that he's going to be the game winner, and he did on so many occasions. But now they're just a more organised, solid team, know what you get. And you've got to give credit to Ayew as well, because I played with him at Villa. He was up and down, didn't know where his career was going to go, but he's gone there, knuckled down, and he's put in some really good performances.
Doesn't score many goals, but he works his socks off, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And he's a good team player, that's for sure. Right, Everton. Now, obviously, at the start of the season, we could not possibly have predicted that they would lose 10 points, be docked 10 points, I should say. I said they'd have a tough season, but will avoid relegation. You said exactly the same. In fact, all three of us said the same thing. Now, what do we think? With the 10-point, they're now 19th in the table. I think if you'd have said to us at the start of the season that a third of the way through the season, Everton will be docked 10 points, I think all three of us have said no chance of them staying up. But they've had a good run of form in recent weeks. But will it be enough? Because they need another good run of form now to get out of the bottom three. And normally, what do you say? I mean, they say 38 points is safe, but I think it's going to be a lot fewer points than that this season. So they need to, you would think, realistically, though, get over 40 points this season, because that would give them over 30 points in reality. Can they do it? Can they do it, Alan?
Yeah.
It would be a hell of an achievement if they did.
I think they can do it. I really do. I think they've shown enough. I totally agree with it. If you had said to me before ball was kicked they're going to be minus 10, I would have said no chance. Because I thought because of who and what they are and where they are in terms of the club at the minute, then I thought that they would just have enough anyway. But I've been impressed with them, what the job that they've done, and I think what will happen now is that Goodison Park will be a horrible place to go for teams, because it will be a siege mentality, us against the world, and I think because of the standard of the league at the bottom, I think that they will have enough to get out of it. Just
Micah?
Can I just ask a quick question? So I don't know if you remember last season, Juventus got docked points, and then before the season ended, they give him the points back, and they went up the league. So the whole the whole process.
I don't think that's going to happen.
No,
although
with
there is an
Everton,
appeal.
Exactly.
There is an appeal.
So I was listening to you lot's podcast the other day with Nick, and he said there's an appeal, and from his opinion, he didn't think it was going to be in their favour. But if they were to win that appeal and then get the points back, that's got to be considered. But
or maybe a few points back. I think it's unlikely they'll get all 10, but I think Alan and myself, we both thought maybe it would be kind of cut to 6.
6, yes, that's what I was thinking.
So
around 5,
I think
6
with
points.
6, you'd say, I fancy them to stay up. With 10, it's going to be difficult, but still possible. It would be a hell of an achievement if they did manage to stay up. I mean, obviously, having played for Everton and have an affinity towards that club, I really hope they do it, because when things like this happen, it's the owners or the people in charge of the club make the mistakes, but it's the players and the fans that suffer, isn't it? And they've done nothing wrong. Exactly. And that's what, so, let's all root on. I'm going to stick with my prediction. Are you?
I'm sticking as well.
Me too.
That's 3 of us.
Good stuff. Let's move on to Fulham. I said they'd struggle against relegation, but will stay up. Alan said 11th, 12th or 13th, but they have a few things to sort out. Micah went mid-table. They're currently 15th, so obviously I'm way more on target than either of you two. They've lost 3 of the last 4, and I just wonder whether they can score enough goals, and they're missing Mitrovic, aren't they? As you would expect.
They certainly are. And not just that, I think I said really early doors that it's going to be a massive season for Jimenez. I really thought he would go there, be the main man, had so much more time to come to grips with his injury.
It's such a shame, isn't it, in many ways?
That's what I mean. You want him
because he was so good.
He's so good. And now... He's not the same player, and to have that taken away from you must be so difficult. So, losing Mitrovic was always going to be difficult. And at this moment, they'll be all right, but they're underachieving for how well they did last season.
I think you never know with Jimenez, though. It could be the fact that he's easing his way back and then he suddenly scores 1 or 2 and you get that confidence and everything will change. Or is that wishful thinking, Alan?
No, I don't think they'll be relegated at all. I don't think they'll be in trouble. What do you say? They're 15th now. I would have them. 14, 13, something like that.
Okay, we're halfway through, so let's take a break. Welcome back to the Rest is Football with Alan Shearer and Micah Richardson, me, Gary Lineker. We're reviewing our predictions from the start of the season. We're halfway through, and I think overall we've done pretty well so far. Obviously, there's a long way left in the season, but we'll carry on, and we've reached the letter L, which means Liverpool. I said that they'd be pushing for the title and in the top 4. Alan said qualifying for the Champions League, and Micah said top 4, so we were all pretty much in agreement. I did, though, push myself a little bit farther than you two, that obviously sat on the fence a little, by saying that they would push for the title. And they are at the moment. I know it's early days, but they're doing all right.
I think Liverpool are where I thought they would be. I think they're always going to score goals with the forwards that they have. Szoboszlai's been a great signing, I think, for them. It's exactly what they needed, how they needed to strengthen. I just still think that they might come a little bit short defensively to go and win the title.
Van Dijk's looked better though, hasn't he?
He hasn't the last 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah. Which is promising for them. And Mo Salah, once again, extraordinarily consistent, isn't he? I mean, 10 goals, 4 assists, already one of the players of the season so far, Micah.
I just don't understand how he keeps doing it.
Because he's really, really good.
It's just, even when he doesn't play well, he still scores. I look at his position sometimes.
Alan did that a whole entirety of his career.
Can you imagine being a striker that's been around for years and scoring goals? It's not fucking easy, Micah, I tell you.
No, but if you look at Salah's position on that right-hand side, and so many times I'm thinking, and Harry will agree with me with this, with fantasy football. Like he's never in the box. You're thinking, get in the box. And then his timing is just superb. He gets in at the right time and he's in the right place. And he's a Premier League legend, isn't he? I mean, he's got to be pushing that all-star 11 for the Premier League now because his consistency is off the scale.
Yeah, another mention for producer Harry the Fiat. Oh. He's giggling alongside.
Harry the Fiat, that's stuck for life.
So I think they're in with if City have got a few injuries at the moment. If for some reason, I mean, they need a lot of injuries because they've got an extraordinary squad, amazing strength in depth, but. It's hard. It's not that easy to be consistently brilliant like Manchester City have been. I suspect they will be because Pep is extraordinary and what he brings out of them. But I think, along with probably Arsenal, we talked about Spurs, we'll come to them in a while. But, Liverpool have been the team generally, apart from last season, that have pushed City. So, I think they've got a chance. We'll see. Right, Luton Town. All three of us thought that it would be probably too much for them and that they would be relegated. But at the moment, with the deduction of points for Everton, they are 17th, so they're not in the bottom three. I think they've actually done all right. Mm-hmm. I mean, they've not got probably the quality, well, they haven't got the quality of a lot of sides in the league, but they're not getting hammered. I think they've had a real go. They've been pretty fearless. I still think they'll probably be relegated at the end of the season, but I think they've been a credit to themselves and the way they've played and performed and battled in the games, and on occasions they've been a tad unfortunate.
Yeah, I would. I wouldn't say anything differently to what you said. I think they've got a fighting chance because of their attitude. I think when you've got a group of players that the manager knows that are going to go out and give the fans everything, then you've got a chance. And that's exactly what they do. They've got no superstars. They're a well-oiled bunch. They work hard, and they've got a fighting chance. Yeah, I still think they'll be relegated, but they've given themselves a really good opportunity to stay up, particularly with what's happened to Everton now. So, I think their fans and their manager and everyone else will be reasonably satisfied with what they're seeing.
Micah?
Yeah, I think they're really good at set pieces. I've watched them a lot now, as we all have. And if I was to pick one part from their game, which was really clever, because you're not going to pass teams off the park in the Premier League, you're just not. But a lot of their goals, the movement on set pieces, especially from corners, and Morris has been a handful up front. He scored 3 goals and had an assist as well. So, and he can hold up the ball. And when you need your striker to hold it, he really does that and gets them up the pitch. So better than I thought they would be, but probably still just go down.
Right. Manchester City. You two obviously both went for them to win the title. I knew you'd do that, so I went for Arsenal, because it'd be really boring if all three of us went for Manchester City. So they are obviously first at the moment. They had a little bit of a blip, didn't they, when Rodri was suspended and lost back-to-back games there. Haaland has carried on where he left off last season, 13 goals already this season. It takes a brave man to tip against them. And neither of you are brave.
It takes a stupid man.
Fair point.
Go on, Micah. You can speak about your club.
I mean, what can we say about Man City? And a lot of people before the season started, have they still got the hunger? People have won the league 3 times in a row before. No one's won it 4 times. In the Premier League, maybe years ago, someone will come up with a stat. Well, what are you talking about? In the Premier League, no one's won it 4 times in a row. And they just keep on doing it. There's a couple deficiencies within this squad, though.
Which are?
When Stones plays at centre-back and goes into the midfield area, if you just watch the analysis, how they close the ball in midfield and get the ball back. If it's Ake or Akanji or Guardiola, it's not the same. So when Man City were playing Chelsea, normally when they would be getting the ball back really high up, there was this massive ocean of space in the middle of the pitch. And of course, Man City dominate the ball, loads of players forward, but just still on that counter-attack, as Chelsea shown us all, if you go at them, you can score a goal.
Yeah, Stones has made. He's become a very important player for Manchester City. And don't forget Kevin De Bruyne. He's not been around all season, so he may. I'm sure he'll come back at some point. So you're gonna,
I'm sticking.
I mean, of course you are.
We're sticking.
Of course we are.
I mean, they're so good, aren't they? And they're so impressive. And
they've just got such a big pool of players as well, Gary. That's the only of quality players as well. You know, that's why I stuck with them. I mean, and the manager.
He's amazing.
So I've not seen anything yet to say to me that they're not going to win the league this season.
Do you think it'd be better for the Premier League if they didn't? That's to you,
for
Alan,
what
not Micah, because he's an ambassador.
What, just because it's going to be someone else? And,
you don't want the same winner every year, do you?
Well, the Man City fans will argue against that,
well,
and
of course.
Pep will. But I'm not sure it'll be better for the Premier League. I think it'll be better if they get pushed all the way.
Yeah.
And it goes to the last week or two of the season. Then it'll be great for everyone else. But they're just such a strong squad.
Yeah, they are. On to the other Manchester United. They've had an interesting season so far. I said top 4. Alan said finishing 4th, definitely Champions League. Micah, you said 4th as well. They're currently 6th, but they've kind of found a little bit of form in the league. 4 wins in the last 5. The most informed side of the league.
No, but this is... But you know what? This is why I do not like stats. And obviously it's a correct stat. But look at the teams that they've played. The bottom of the group in the Champions League. I mean... it's all a little bit of a myth. Are
you accusing me of bending statistics?
I was having this argument with someone before I went away, and it was like, well, the most informed team. I'm like, but you're supposed to win them teams. If you was playing Man City and beating Chelsea and Liverpool and that, I would give them the credit, but come on. And
do you know what their next game is? This weekend?
Everton
away. I mean, that Goodison will be rocking. That is bad timing. You don't want to be the team that plays at Goodison this weekend, I don't think.
Micah, you say they're just the bottom of the teams. Didn't Luton draw Liverpool?
Did they?
I'm sure they did, didn't they?
Yeah,
Wasn't it 1-1?
I think they did, actually, Alan, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure they did, yeah.
If I go into the memory bank.
Maybe those stats aren't so bad after all, then, eh? I can't believe I'm sticking up for Man United.
What is going on?
What about the takeover stuff? I mean, it's eventually going to happen, isn't it? With
it looks like
Ineos taking over and the 25% and everything else. Do you think that there'll all of a sudden be funds available in January? And it'll bring a couple of big players in. I don't know.
Well, Brailsford will come in, so that'll be bicycles for all, I suppose. I don't know. I mean, it's an interesting one, isn't it? That you suddenly somebody comes in with a 25% shake, and perhaps they take over the football side of things.
Yeah.
But I just don't know. I don't know.
No.
I mean, it's a club I think that's in a degree of turmoil, and they've got to find someone up front that's going to score goals. Rashford needs to find his form. Højlund needs to start showing perhaps his promise in terms of his numbers. Certainly in the Premier League, he's done really well in the Champions League.
I think my prediction of 4th. I don't know. Honestly, it's a football club at the minute where I just think, I don't know. It's a bit of a basket case what's going on. So I honestly don't know whether they'll finish 4th or 8th. I haven't got a clue.
I think a European position. I've lost I'm lost confidence in terms of Champions League, Micah.
Yeah, I've lost my confidence as well. Everyone thinks I'm being biased. Well, I actually want Man United to do well because they're a big brand. It's good for the Premier League. I just don't want them to be better than City.
You want them to be better than City?
I know, I just don't
want them. Just rewind that, will you? Micah Richards really wants Manchester United to do well.
Okay. He'll be asking to edit that out later.
That fucking tequila must have been strong in Mexico.
It's the big one, Alan.
Oh,
Newcastle. I said they just miss out on the Champions. Actually, I'd forgotten at that point. I said miss out on the Champions League, but I said they finish fifth, which will almost certainly qualify for the Champions League next season. You said the same. In fact, all three of us did. So I don't know. They've got a lot of injuries. I think I might drift towards perhaps just Europe. I still think they'll make Europe. I think they've got so many injuries and they've got to contend with the Champions League. I'm not whether they'll have to contend with the Champions League come next year when it restarts the knockout stages. I'm not so sure. Hate to be a little bit negative, Alan, but things have gone a little bit pear-shaped the last few weeks.
Yeah, last couple of weeks haven't been great in the league. Well, the Bournemouth result was really poor. A couple of poor performances in the Champions League also. They've got a ton of injuries, which isn't helping. The international break would have done them a world of good, I hope, to get at least maybe 2 or 3 players back. I don't know, hopefully.
The Tonali thing as well.
Will be fit. Tonali thing as well, that's gone against them. Still in the Carabao Cup, so I mean they're still going in that and the Champions League, albeit up against it.
Still in the Carabao Cup.
What, didn't they knock Man City? Didn't they knock Man United out?
What?
Both?
Something
like that, Micah, wasn't it?
Last year you bottled it. What are you talking about?
Shut up, you idiot.
I love the tune. No, I didn't mean that. I'm sorry, the tune.
At the start of the season, it was all about the Champions League and the top 4. Now it's about the Carabao.
I'm sticking with 5th.
Yeah, I'm just going to go Europe now. Sorry, Alan. Feel bad. But they've had bad luck with injuries. Micah?
I think I'll agree with Gary. Europe just missed out. Yeah.
On to Nottingham Forest. I said they will stay up. Might battle relegation, but will stay up. Alan, you said it would be a long, hard season. Bottom 3, they could go. Micah, avoiding relegation. They have quality players, but need to stay fit. At the moment, they're 14th. 8 points above the drop zone. They've beaten Chelsea and Villa this season. I think they've been really good. I don't fear for them in terms of relegation. I think they'll be just above that fight for relegation. I think they'll be okay. Almost like a Crystal Palace kind of vibe. I think they've done really well. I mean, it pains me to say I'm a Leicester fan. It's down the road. They're our rivals. But I think I thought we might swap places at the end of this season, but I think we'll be playing in that East Midlands derby next year. And I hope
we're not talking about championship teams, Gary.
I think Cooper's done an excellent job. I really do.
I agree. I would. This is probably the one that I would sort of take back if I could in the predictions, because I had them really struggling, but Cooper's done a brilliant job. Great atmosphere there, and what is it? You say 8 points clear of relegation. So yeah, they'll be fine. I think they've really impressed me.
Yep, it's great when you admit to getting it wrong, Alan.
It's not very often, Gaz.
I know. Not very often you admit it. They've done well, Micah.
Yes,
they're a good side to watch. As you know, they have. They're kind of almost a counter-attacking side. They play quite directly, don't they? And they, but it works.
Awoniyi. How do you pronounce his name? Awoniyi?
Awoniyi, isn't it? Awoniyi. I'm not sure.
Awoniyi.
We're probably all getting
I'll
it
do
wrong.
a couple for you, Harry. Awoniyi.
I want you, Micah.
He's been good. He's scored goals. Awoniyi. He's been outstanding. He carried on his form from last season. Alanga coming to the club, somewhere was surplus to requirements.
I quite liked him at Manchester. I thought he
I
had
know.
something at Manchester. I just think he's got something about him. I was surprised that they let him go, actually.
I was surprised as well, and he's scored a couple. He's playing really well. Some good celebrations as well. So feel good factor at Forest is all looking good.
It is.
Yep.
On to Sheffield United. Well, we were unanimous in the fact that we all thought they'd be relegated. It's been tough for them so far this season. They're still in the bottom three. They've now gone up to 18th because of Everton being docked point. They've conceded the most goals this season, 31 and 8 in one game against, I can't remember who that was. It might have been Newcastle.
I was there.
I know. Can they survive? I think it's going to be tough for them, isn't it?
Yeah.
No, I've not seen enough for me to turn around and say that I'd be hopeful they can survive. I think the goals conceded column is far too many, and when you're conceding that many, you've got no chance. So I don't see them surviving now.
I've got to be nice to Sheffield United, only because Ollie McBurney's my neighbour. He lives about 2 miles down the road. And so
2 miles?
That's next door then, is it?
It's
Well, he
next
lives
door.
on the-
You've
door
got
then.
the biggest house in the world, Micah. You live in
Garden's a
Buckingham
couple of
Palace.
acres.
He's my neighbour. He lives 2 miles down the road.
I've got a mile drive, Alan.
Oh my God! What you're petrolling halfway down your drive here?
The plane back from Mexico landed in his front yard.
You imagine if you hadn't been any good.
That's harsh. Oh, dear.
I'm only joking.
Go
I
on,
love you.
Micah. Ollie, yeah, go on.
No, he's a great guy. He's my neighbour. I love him. So I'm not being too critical with Sheffield United, but they've not convinced me yet that they can stay up. I'm looking at the play. 1 week is very good. The other week, sort of like too defensive. Don't really know what they're trying to do. So yeah, they've not convinced me yet. So I'll still say going down.
Okay. Tottenham Hotspur. I said Europe. Alan said they won't challenge for the top four, especially without Kane, so we'll finish 8th or 9th. And Micah, you said that Tottenham are a better side without Harry Kane. Oh no, you said Europe.
Go on, Micah.
Well, I must admit, I think 2 weeks ago we'd have a different conversation than we had now, and they had that awful night, didn't they, against Chelsea, where everything that could go wrong went wrong. They lost 2 players, definitely 2 of their best players. Maddison and Van der Ven to injury. They had a couple of suspensions, 2 red cards. They lost the home game to Chelsea. Then they play Wolves and they're 1 goal up. And you think if they can get something out of this international break, and then they lose 2 goals in injury time. So, I think our views have changed a bit. But overall, if you'd have said this at the start of the season, where they'd be, what they were doing, considering they'd lost, obviously, their superstar, I think they've done pretty well.
Yeah. No, I think they've done really well. I think if you had said to the Spurs fans before ball was kicked they'd be in this position, I think they would have snapped your hands off. And they've played some really exciting football. Been unlucky last couple of games, but I don't know. I'm not quite sure that they'll have enough to get in the top 4, but they'll certainly be better than what I thought they were going to be.
Yeah, talking about possibly the top 5 now, and they're still only 2 points off the top.
Yeah.
I think they can get Champions League if everyone
Me too.
is fit.
Yeah.
Well, the 2 big players won't be fit until the new year at least. Maddison, who's been absolutely brilliant, one of the signings of the season, I think we'd all probably agree on that, as has Van der Ven as well. To lose one of them is bad luck, but 2...
And then Romero, with your partnership,
yeah,
centre half, when we talked about them being the partnership of the season so far. So to lose that, it's very difficult to predict. If it was all fit, I would say Champions League. But I would like to see when they're going to be back. But I'm going to say could slip into that number 5 position for Champions League.
I wouldn't disagree with that. I mean, I said Europe at the start of the season, but I think we were kind of probably forgetting a little bit that it's very likely that the Premier League will have 5 teams in the Champions League next season. Yeah. So, okay, I think we're all in agreement there. We'll go on to, our last 2 teams. West Ham. I said mid-table. Alan said the same. All 3 of us said mid-table, in fact. And currently they are 9th. Which is very close to mid-table. I think they've had some good games and some not so good games. Jared Bowen, I think, has been excellent, hasn't he? 8 goals and assists this season. Ward-Prowse has been an excellent signing. Yeah. They've only had 1 clean sheet, though, this season, which would be a concern, wouldn't it?
A massive concern, considering I've got the goalkeeper in my fantasy football.
And so is the Fiat.
Areola, eh? Areola, cheap and cheerful, makes loads of saves. I thought he'd have loads of clean sheets. The typical David Moyes team, and it's not happened. But another one to throw in there, Kudos as well. On the last couple of games, he's looked real.
Yeah.
Really
kudos
good.
to Kudos.
Oh, kudos.
So he's one of the signs of the season, though, as well, isn't he? Ward-Prowse. I mean, what a bargain. What did they pay for him? About 30 million?
Yeah. He's been
what a season he's having again, the assists. And we did a piece on him on Match Today, I think, not so long ago, about him, about his set pieces and where he puts that ball time after time, week after week. It's just phenomenal what a dead ball player he is.
Do you think some of the clubs, the so-called bigger clubs would be thinking, missed out there, probably should have,
100%. Liverpool should have bought him.
I think so, yeah.
Liverpool, it was destined for Liverpool. Replace Henderson, do exactly what Henderson can do, and he's got delivery as well. I'm thinking, why has that not happened? But fair play to Moyes as well. Tactically, he's scoring a lot of goals, and he's left Antonio on the bench in the last couple of games, and Bowen's actually playing up front, which you would never think David Moyes' team. He always wants to play with a big striker up top, but he's just adapted the way he's seen things recently as well.
Yeah.
Mid-table?
Yep.
Yeah, mid-table.
Still the same, yeah.
Right. Finally, we come to Wolves. I had them in the bottom 3. Alan had the relegation battle, as did Micah, although you said, Micah, that they will stay in the league but will struggle. I think when we did this, I don't think the new manager situation, it was just after Lopetegui kind of scarpered and they were managerless. I'm just trying to defend myself and get myself out of a hole here.
We know.
Because Gary O'Neill has obviously come in and, blimey, what a job he's done. I mean, really. And to be perfectly honest, they're 12th in the table. But you've also, I think you've got to bear in mind that they've had some decisions, VAR decisions, go against them this season that have probably cost them at least, 3, 4, 5 points?
Yeah. No, I think he's done a really good job. He's been measured when he's had to be. He's got angry with officials, and rightly so, because some of the decisions that have happened. One of them was against Newcastle. But I think he's done a really good job, and I think he had a lot to prove because of what happened to him at Bournemouth. We all felt it was really harsh. But I think he's been superb and doing a great job.
Yeah, I suppose on the downside, Neto looks like he's going to be out for some time. But Hwang's done really well, hasn't he? He's like 6 goals, a couple of assists as well. I think overall, I think they played decent football. They've done really well, and I'm going to move to like a kind of lower mid-table, probably around where they are at present. So I'm going to admit that I up. Got it wrong. You sometimes you need to admit these things, and they'll probably fall now and go down.
The thing is with Wolves, though, before we wrap up, if you actually look at the players that they have, they've got amazing players. They're not amazing team yet, but they've got Cunha from Atletico Madrid. They've got Neto, who everybody who wanted. They're just defensively signed. I know they lost Mateus Nunes was a real blow, and they lost Neves as well. Who's the midfielder who come in and scored the other day against Spurs? What's his name? Lamina. He's come in and done well. They've got some really good, talented players, so they should be nowhere near the bottom, in my opinion, player for player. It's just putting that together as a team.
Yeah, I agree. I think I've been really impressed with them, as I said, and I don't think they'll be in a relegation battle. I think they'll have more than enough to stay up, and I think in and around to where they are now.
Yep, I think we all pretty much agreed on that. And that's it. We've done all 20 teams. We've rattled through. And overall, I think we've done pretty well so far. Obviously, there's a long way to go in this season, but this is why we do a podcast called The Rest is Football, because we know how to...
Love it.
So anyway, thank you very much once again for all your kind comments and your love of the podcast. Hopefully you'll keep listening, keep enjoying it, and we'll probably do this again sometime in the new year to see how we're faring, because it's sort of fun. But for now, that's it from us, and goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.
Goodbye from me.